I don't care about my opponent's plan because I want to do my thing. They say that very often, don't they? Especially the young students of chess, when they completely ignore their opponent's attacks, their opponent's last move, and they suddenly find themselves in a situation to get checkmated, and then they getting terribly frustrated and upset and crying, etc., etc. So the advice is have that sense of danger. Never, never neglect, never ignore your opponent's last moves. It's good to have a plan, but keep an eye on your opponent's plan as well in order to incorporate them and to prevail in the end. Now, especially if you're up in material and your opponent, sacked some pieces in order to gain access to vital points around your king. Like in our position here, rook moved g5 to h5. You already need to ask yourself, already the alarm bell should be ringing now. What do they want to do? Don't just ignore it and just go with your own stuff. Oh, I'm going to get a rook here. I'm going to get a queen here. I'm going to try checkmate here. That's good. It might be a bit too late. If you do this kind of stuff, you might be running into some queen to h3, cutting off your king completely. And that would be too late then. It's nothing you could do at that stage after queen h3. It's nothing you can do to stop it because queen h1, checkmate, and you lost having an extra piece. So always have that sense of danger, the prophylaxis. Always think about, what does my opponent intend to do? Just ask yourself that. Even if you're up in material, and now you'll easily recommend there is only one way to get out of this, and namely queen to d1. Of course, they don't want to trade. By the way, you got two major principles to deal with when your king is weaker. Trade off the pieces that attack your king, one, or secondly, get pieces to defend the weak king. In our situation, the white king, which is a little bit naked, not completely naked, just a little bit naked, so to speak. Queen to h3, you got it now. They just want to checkmate you on h1. So you can't just ignore it. You have to stop it, the attack, and then you're going to go on to winning. How do you control actually the h1? Because this is the problematic, the critical point. And you got it. You just look at a position and you understand. Queen f3 looks after the h1. It might be a check here, but it's nothing's going to happen here. You're going to be absolutely fine. Even if there is a check, queen takes, rook takes, king moves, takes and takes, you're going to get your extra piece active, and it's good. Let's move on to the next one now. So yeah, exactly right. Exactly as we said. There is no way to get checkmated. You are going to prevail and win. Next position here. That's already a little bit of pressure here. Look at the bishop, look at the queen. You got to be careful where you move the knight on f3, or if you have to move it. You got to be very careful about this one. There is always a knight here that might be playing on g4. Again, do not ignore it. Maybe you could play something with tempo, bring some piece to defend the weak king. Can you trade off some of the black pieces? You cannot, but maybe you can get a piece to defend your king, namely the bishop to f1 now, which not just attacks the queen. In the eventuality of a check, that bishop will actually be playing the role of a defending pawn. So you should be okay here. You should be winning here. You got the extra piece. It's fine. It's good. It's cool. You should be able to win. Now, let's identify the danger. It's important. They move queen to queen to b6, queen from c7 over to b6. Always you ask yourself, what does my opponent intend to play? That's it. And then, let's see, they've got a battery. What do they want to go? Well, they can't go b1. That is true, but can they go b2? Okay, or can they play, for instance, rook takes c4? What does that mean? Let's think about combinations. Rook takes c4, bishop takes the rook here, and then queen to b1. Oh boy, that's actually checkmate. It's just a tactic here. So you can't just, sleep on the laurels and say, oh, that is covered, I got no problem. Now let me just play the queen and prepare myself a battery to checkmate them. Don't neglect, those little tactics that may be coming into play. So rook takes, bishop takes, and already queen b1 is incredibly vulnerable. So bring the queen over to defend and to cover those guys here. Okay, and now you can think about the ideas like as long as B1 is covered, as long as B2 now is covered, they're not going to do this because it's just not working anymore. The queen on C2 covers those important squares. Now you can think about ideas like this one. Now you can think then to play some queen to H7. This guy plays and then potentially given a chance checkmate. But always make sure you take care of your opponent's intention. What's going on here? Ooh, we got already a little bit of stuff that we need to be addressing here because queen is going to be playing on h3 and that is devastating. Okay, this is really, really problematic. You got to stop this from happening. What do? Queen comes here. Can we just stop it? Of course we can. We're moving nicely. Rook to the h file. We just simply demote here any intent of black to play on h3. And that's it. It's good. It's cool. This one is defended twice. This one is defended. H3 is covered. Cool. You're going to win. But never ignore your opponent's move. Have that sense of danger. Okay, especially if you're up in material. Let's have a look at this one. What is the danger? What do they want to do? The queen cuts off everything. Might they be willing to just simply moving the rook on h8 and checkmate me? Or absolutely. That's exactly what they want to do. Oh boy, so how do I stop this? So you need to look at active moves to stop this from happening. Okay, now the only way, it's absolutely necessary now for you to be just simply involving the knight. You have to play defensively every now and then. You have to play defensively. You got a bunch of pieces. Don't get checkmated at the end. That's a shame. Okay, so they be checking you now. You're just dropping this guy and you've got no problem. It's cool. It's absolutely fine. Okay, then you could just do all sorts of stuff here and you should be absolutely okay here, right? So don't ignore your opponent's stuff. Okay, don't ignore them. Oh, that one looks even better. Okay, cool. So you've got all sorts of ideas to be winning afterwards because you got two minor pieces extra and everything looks great. So let's go for another idea. What's going on here? Oh boy, look at this. This is really, really very nasty. I don't want to get checkmated. I absolutely don't want to get checkmated. I got so many pieces. I should be winning here. What can I do? Can the queen do something to cover actually this square here? Let's see if that works. Does that work? Of course it works now because queen h2 checkmate no longer applicable here. And I'm more than happy to trade off pieces. Remember another principle, guys. When you have extra material, go for tradings, go for exchanging because you are going to keep your extra piece in the game. What is going on here? Well, we've got the battery, and this is incredibly problematic. You don't want to get checkmated in a move on g7, therefore. Can you trade off the white pieces attacking? Nope, you cannot. But can you get about something to defend? Yes, of course we can. And that is the queen. I'm recording now. There is the black queen here, ready to step in and save the day. The black queen saves the day now. Can't be playable g7. That one is not playable, and that one wasn't playable anyway, but just saying you're making sure that you ticked all the defensive square. This is another typical exercise that happens so many times in the practical game with a very advanced f6 pawn taking the g7, and they only look for a way to be combining with the queen and then g7 checkmate. Do not ignore this kind of stuff. Don't say I've got all the time in the world. You may not have all the time in the world, so you need to act at the right time. That's another similarity with live sequences if you want to. So is there any piece that actually can prevent the white queen from getting to g7 in only 2 moves? Yes, there is one piece. In particular, black queen saves the day again. Queen c5. Okay, crazy, but necessary. Not crazy. I mean, it's a little bit counterintuitive to do that, but you must play defensively every now and then. Well, many times probably, especially when you're up in material. Now, can you stop queen g7? Of course you can. Of course you can. Now you're going to play queen here. Again, any trade completely favors the part with more pieces. So guys, that was for today. Next video would be on defending the weak king, but trading off the pieces that are set to attacking your king. Today's theme was on get pieces to defend. Next video would be on trade off those pieces that attack you. So we're going to look at another example, another streak of examples. I hope, guys, this is useful. Subscribe to this channel, please, fellas. And I'll see you sooner than you think. Thank you.